Yeah, I think, day one, obviously, you're just kind of getting after it, right? Starting to take coach's vision and try to put it into, grow it right from there. And I think really you look back, I think the biggest thing is just the consistency. I think, coach talks about it all the time, our culture. And I think really looking back, it took us a couple of years to probably really establish that, right, and really get a firm grip on what coach felt like he really wanted out of that. And it took me some time to kind of figure out, hey, these are the guys that are going to fit into what coach's vision is. So I think once you've seen that kind of become pretty firm in what we need and what we want. You've seen the consistency. So I think really that's probably it, right on the field, in the classroom, in the community. Coach talks about it all the time, but that really is day in and day out. If we continue to bring in guys that'll buy into that culture, then we'll maintain that consistency. So I think that's what it is, right? You've seen some of the statistics, right, and how we win over the last 4 or 5 years, where that matches up across the country. And it's when you're in it every day, maybe you don't quite notice it as much as when you see a graphic come out that shows that. But it's pretty cool to see, and a lot of hard work has obviously gone into that. So just proud of that longevity. And really, like, you see some of the guys now after a decade that you recruit, they come into the program, they develop here, they get out, right? They get out into their communities, they get out into professional baseball, they get out into the real world. And to hear them kind of come back and talk about their experiences here, right, being in the program, it's, a lot to be proud of for sure when you hear those guys come back and just talk about their preparation as compared to maybe some of their coworkers or and they're just, hey, we're light years ahead of where other people are because of the things that we learned in the program. So obviously a lot of credit to coach and what we've established here, but it's more than just kind of the wins on the field. It's the consistency with which we work every day. Those guys are taken out to the workforce for sure. I think it's always evolving. I mean, that's the thing about recruiting is never. It really doesn't get easier. That's not really how it works, right? Everybody works really hard, and you look at the rankings that come out, the preseason rankings, and how many teams in about a 3-hour radius of East Carolina are in the top 25. So we're competing, for a lot of the same players. So which is great. It motivates you, right? It continues to push us because at the end of the day, we're not trying to beat the teams in a 3-hour radius. We're trying to beat all of them. So it's really good, I think. And I think that over our time period here, right, a lot of those programs have been good, but maybe not all at the same time. And I think really we've motivated each other a little bit with how we work, and so I think that's a good thing because it continues to make us evolve. It continues to make us think about how we can do things better and continue to get better in recruiting. But I don't think it gets easier or harder necessarily. I just think we have expectations for what we want to do here at East Carolina, and much like Coach talked about when we prepare for an opponent, it's the same in recruiting. We really we know what we're looking for in terms of the character of players, the ability level of players, how they're going to fit into what we're doing here, whether it's roster wise or whether it's who they are and what they do with their work ethic. So we know what we want to target, and it's really about us taking care of what we need to take care of. And if we do that and continue to bring in the right people, then we'll continue to have the consistent success that we've had. Yeah, really, we talk when I get on the phone with them. We talk about really three things: that they are obviously talented enough to help us win championships, and that could be a variety of things, right? Not everybody is going to be the Friday starter, right? So they all bring different things to the table, right? Offensively, defensively, depending on what position it is and what we feel like we need for that current roster to kind of fit those puzzle pieces together to be successful. But ability, right, to help us win at the highest level. And number two is that they're academically they're committed to doing as well as they possibly can, right? Doesn't mean they have to be 4-0, but as we've seen with our support here at East Carolina and the way coach, right, the culture that we've established academically, if they're willing to work hard, then we'll be able to help them get a great degree. So they just got to understand that that's important, and that's the most important thing when they get here. And number three is that they're a good person, and that's just talking to teammates, players that they've been around, getting to know their families, right? Talking to the coaches that they've played for or against, and just trying to figure out who they really truly are as a person. And if you can get 40 guys in that locker room that are talented, hardworking in the classroom, and are good people, then we're going to be pretty good. And that's really kind of the mold we've gone after, and that's what coach wants. And we've been able to. We're not, it doesn't always go perfect, but I think when you look at the guys that are transferring in and out of programs here over the last 3-4 years. Really, we haven't had that many, and I think that's a credit to the type of person that we're bringing in, as well as obviously their development once they're here. Yeah, I think obviously you got all different personalities, right? You got all different types of kids, and so I think. I think the biggest thing, and it's not just necessarily this group, it's any freshman group that comes in. For the most part, there's a learning curve. There's a learning curve to what we do, just what college baseball is, right? But then also what we do here in our program. And, I've said it a lot before, 80 to 90% of the freshmen that come into our program, they are substantially better their sophomore year. And that's just because they show up every day. Human nature, you show up and there's unknowns. It challenges a lot of people right at this level. So you get to that sophomore year, there's nothing new, right? They show up, they know their teammates, they know the practice plan, they know what that means, they know what coach likes, they know what, how this drill goes. And so guys make huge jumps in our program after 1 year. There are some outliers, right, that have a lot of success as a freshman. And in my opinion, those are the guys that come in and they have a confidence about them. They have a true confidence about them, and they also have a really good work ethic. And ability obviously goes along with it. But those are the characteristics of the guys that have come into this program, and you look up and you're into the middle of that freshman year, and they're having a significant impact here. They almost force Coach Godwin to put them into the lineup, and so there's a handful in that may be able to pull that off. But for the most part, I really enjoy this group, their work ethic, how they go about things. They've bought right in. We got a great group of older guys that have kind of taken them under their wings to, whether it's shortstop, third base position specific things that they've really helped these guys with. So really good work ethic out of the group, and we'll see where it goes. I mean, they have some older guys in front of them, which in our world, that's a good thing. Right, you get some older guys that have been there and done it at this level, and then you got a really talented group of younger guys coming in as freshmen to get a chance to learn behind them, and hopefully they're pushing to get onto the field because that will motivate the older players. Yeah, I think again, when they get to our level or here at East Carolina, there's just a standard, and if you want to get on the field, you're going to adapt to it, right? And so I think that can be learned. You know what I mean? Where those guys get in here, and we establish that from day one of, hey, we're going to play defense, at the highest level, and you don't win championships without doing it, right? And that's the one thing that you look across, and as you mentioned in Major League Baseball, it's become okay, right, for some of those things. But generally speaking, the most successful teams don't do it, right? And so you got to kind of continue to show them information that, hey, listen, this is going to translate to success. And, I think if we go out and we do a good job recruiting, we can do all of it, right? And it's just trying to get the guys with the ability level that fit what we do, fit how we coach it, and really from day one get them here and just impress upon them how important that is. And these are some of the adjustments that we might need to make in what you're doing defensively to try to get you to where we need to. So, but the neat part when you're here for this long is, generally speaking, there's older guys in the program that have had success, right? And so the track record of the Turner Browns and then some of those other guys, right, that follow suit, the Zach Agnoses, and just what they're doing defensively. Well, if you're a young guy coming into the program and you see that those guys are doing things a certain way, you see that it leads to success, you see that that's leading to wins, right? It's a formula that you almost have to buy into, right? And so I think that is the beauty of being at a program that's had success for this long. When the guys come in, they're generally speaking all ears, right? Because they see that, hey, this can help me individually, and this will help us collectively. So we haven't had a lot of pushback on that. I think our guys come in, and again, that goes back to recruiting just quality kids.
I wanted to make sure to ask you this. You've got the unique position, coaching down the first base line to talk with these guys when they get on base. And I'm sure a lot of that might be, maybe situation coming out and stuff like that.
Sure.
You got any maybe fun memories of just like a guy breaking a slump and just coming over to you? Kind of those memories.
Oh man, I'm sure there's plenty of them. Yeah, there's plenty of them. So I don't know if they stand out, but yeah, I'll have to remember this for next time I get this question. But I don't off the top of my head. But yeah, those guys, you hear about it all, down there, because a lot of frustration, and trying to keep the guys from, just we talk a lot, right, about staying in the moment and just trying to get those guys into a good state of mind. So you get a lot of that, trying to keep them just, hey man, it's just one at bat, you know what I mean? And so, but yeah, a lot of that, a lot of a psychologist / first base coach for sure. So try to keep them in a good headspace, no doubt.
In baseball, sometimes it's hard in any other sport to get young guys in because there's no clock. If they go in and they mess up,
Sure.
something happens.
Yeah.
But as you look to replace some of the starters that left a year ago, how big is it for guys like Dixon Williams, maybe Chris Montgomery, with all the seen significant playing time being done?
Yeah, I think it's important. That's it can be obviously as a coach, it makes you a little uneasy at times playing some new guys and some new spots, but it's also the exciting part, right? And that's the cool part about this program is, and you guys have followed ECU baseball. Coach plays everybody. We substitute more than probably any other program in the country, and we use a lot of guys in different roles, and sometimes we recruit that way too, right? Where a guy has, you guys mentioned Rowley Johnson earlier. Well, he has certain things that he does on the baseball field that there's not many that in the country can do. And so putting those guys in those positions, Coach does a great job of using that, those position players in ways that at any given time we can start out the baseball game with the best 9 guys to help us win. Well, that, as he mentioned, can change in the 6th inning of what that best 9 guys looks like. So Coach does an awesome job with that, of moving those guys around. But with that comes playing some of these guys as young players in their strengths, right? And that allows them some time to then get onto the field, get in front of 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 people in a position to, right, hopefully feel confident about what they're doing because they're just playing defense, or they're just on the base pass having to steal the space that they can get. But they're building that confidence level, right? They're helping the team, and that gives them, the ability to come into the next year and continue to build upon that. So, and you saw that in the fall. Dixon Williams, I thought, even throughout the fall, he just got better and better and better as the fall went along, just because he's continuing to get that experience, and now he's starting to envision himself as an everyday guy. And just, again, being sophomores, having that past experience, and that even if it's limited playing time, being on the field as a freshman, coming back, getting a fall underneath their belt. A lot of those guys that you mentioned, just really excited for them to get a chance to get out there because they put in a ton of hard work, and excited to see what they do when when the first pitch gets thrown.
Obviously, a lot of work goes into scheduling and figuring out who you're going to play in non-conference. What, from your standpoint, how do you kind of go about, organizing it and figuring all the different?
Yeah, for sure. Well, as Coach mentioned, we've been here now going on 10 years, and some of those things just geographically are kind of set in place, and they've kind of gone up and down a little bit with a couple of the in-state schools in our time here, but now it's in a pretty good spot. And the only thing that it will change here and there is if a specific midweek team wants to play once, or something kind of adjusts a little bit, but for the most part it's pretty set in stone. And I think we picked up a home and home with William and Mary here the last 2 years, and that was just out of need to pick up one more game, but and sometimes we get creative with the Campbell game, right, at a minor league park. So we got a little bit of flexibility with a game here or there, depending on who wants to play on any given year and if they want to do a home and home. And then when it comes to the early part of the season with the Classic or with some of those open weekends, it's just trying to get creative, trying to put together. It always starts with just making sure that RPI wise, we feel like the schedule we're going to put in place gives us an opportunity where if we take care of what we need to take care of in terms of wins and losses, we're going to be in a position to host, and ideally, right, in a national seed spot. So that's really what you're going for in terms of how you lay it out. Again, it's been nice under the current RPI formulas with what we've done in the past. We got a pretty good idea, right, of, hey, listen, if we can challenge ourselves at this level, go on the road X amount of games, we take care of business, this is going to put us in a good spot. And, last year's schedule, I felt like was in a good spot. It was where the wins came. We kind of lost some close games on the road, won just about every game at home. Well, that formula doesn't really work, right? It's more about those road wins that we needed. So if you flip a couple of them, I think we're in a better spot, and maybe we're in a little better position to host. And so Coach and I, we go back and forth on it and just try to get creative with the teams. And obviously with the LeClaire, you're always trying to bring in, usually an in-state team and then two others that you just feel like would be fun matchups, different teams, get some new experiences. So you want those guys, to get those as well. So really excited for the LeClaire Classic this year. I think it'll be a fun group, and so that's kind of how we go about it.
You have been around some great head coaches, not only in playing career, but coaching careers too. But what was it like playing basketball for Jim Larinaga?
Coach Larinaga, he was incredible coach, unique. We used to start every practice with a little bit of a philosophy lesson. So we would get around the circled half court and a little bit of a philosophy lesson. So, but Coach Larinaga, I think, and you can see it. You can see it when you get some of those like post game locker room, the NCAA tournament stuff like that. Has a tremendous way to relate to the guys. Super intelligent, like I said, into philosophy, but yet relates to the guys then and today really, really well. And from an X's and O's standpoint, really, really good. So you kind of add it all up. It made for some interesting practices and interesting, games and stuff like that. But a great coach. And then got a chance when I was coaching baseball as well at George Mason to start out my career. He was still coaching, right, the basketball there. So they had the run to the Final Four my first year coaching there at Mason. So really fun to watch. And again, I mean, you talk about, he's been doing it a long time. It's a heck of a career, and you don't do the things that he's done at multiple schools, George Mason and now Miami and Bowling Green prior to that. You win at some tough places and exceed expectations probably at all three of those schools like he has, unless you're a tremendous coach.
What was a Jeff Palumbo three-point shot like?
Well, as I tell my 7 and 10-year-old, you can't score if you don't shoot. So they went up often.